disaster must come. At best, only postponed. Shaolin Kung Fu, to survive, must now be taught to more young men.
Welcome to another episode of Fists, Kicks, and Flicks, the podcast about martial arts, movies, and life. I am one of your hosts, Eugene Plowden, and with me, as always, my podcast partner, Joe Hartley. What's up, man?
What's going on?
Nothing much. If this is your first time with us, I want you to know we are members of the Martial Arts Internet Network. On Mondays, you got Raw with Mimi and Lump. Tuesdays is CTE with Chris, Los, and Travis. Wednesdays is us, Fists, Kicks, and Flicks with Gene, Mike, Joe, and Angel. And on Thursdays, you can get the Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. For more information, you can check us out on all of our social media platforms. Just look for the Martial Arts Internet Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Joe, it's showtime. What's happening?
Not much, man. It's real busy. Just busy at work, busy at home, and still a good week though. Good weekend, really good weekend. You know.
Yeah.
Let's get this out of the way. Yeah. Go blue.
Go blue. That's right, man. I'm glad you did it that way because that's some bullshit. That is some bullshit. I knew he was gonna do something.
Because we got the director today. He was waiting for it. He was waiting for it.
That's
he
some
was waiting
bullshit.
for it.
This man,
That's
come
okay.
on now.
That's okay.
Y'all started it. I had nothing to do with none of this.
I didn't say anything. What are you talking about? I didn't say anything. I didn't say
You're gonna change our background to this green and white crap.
It looks like diarrhea, doesn't it? It kind of looks like
It
diarrhea.
does. It's running all over the place. Crazy.
Yeah, running away from the end zone. That's right. Oh man. So,
but yeah, that's crazy because with my weekend, you know, I've never had this problem before. My daughter does her plays right around this time, and of course the game had to be at 7:30. Guess when my daughter's play started on Saturday?
7 o'clock.
7:30.
7:30. Oh wow. Okay.
And there were all fans on both sides, like looking like, all right, let's wrap this thing up. It was really funny. It was really, really funny. But you know what? I got home in time for the second half, so it actually worked out pretty good.
Okay. All right. Did you enjoy the game?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I would have liked to see some more touchdowns early on. But I mean, I'll take a win as a win, man. And then I didn't even hear about the controversy until the next day. Again, at another one of my daughter's play, because I go to like she does 6 in the next 2 weeks, and I usually make it to 4 or 5 of them. So me and the whole family, because like my mother-in-law comes, my parents come, my niece joined us this time, and then my wife's dad and stepmom come. So I mean, we just make it a nice family affair. We root her on and everything like that. So she did good. She was Beauty and the Beast. She was the wardrobe, which I didn't even know the wardrobe had a name, but it's Madame Delagram La Bouche.
Now
that whole thing.
So they did the Disney version, right?
So her theater does all the junior versions. So if it's a Disney play, this has already been done into a play, then they get what's called the junior version of it. So it basically follows like the adult play. So same songs, they just kind of shorten it up a little bit and on a smaller stage.
You know what? Thinking about my childhood, of course, I grew up with a lot of the Disney movies from back in the day, like Bambi and Snow White and all of that. I don't think I've ever seen Beauty and the Beast. And of course, I know what it is. I've seen this stuff was around, and I've seen the drawings, so I know what the Beast looked like, and I know what all the characters look like. But I don't think I even know of the story really, but I think you can kind of put it together, after years of knowing of what this thing is, you can kind of figure out what the story is. But I was wondering if the Disney version and the fairy tale version if it was similar, like with those characters, like did the wardrobe have a name in the fairy tale version?
I just recently watched it with my daughter a couple times. That one and the live action one they did. She does refer to herself as Madame Labouche.
Yes, but that was through Disney. But I meant like the original storybook, the fairy tale story.
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not sure.
Because I know,
like I said, I just remember it being the wardrobe.
I know, like with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, like the Seven Dwarfs in the fairy tale version, they didn't have names. I mean, they weren't Sleepy and Dopey and all of that. Disney gave them those names. So I was just wondering if that was the same case with Beauty and the Beast, since you brought up, her name.
Honestly, I could look that up, but I wonder honestly if my daughter would know that, because she does like her homework on all this stuff.
Okay,
she's so funny. She cracks me up with all that.
What about
she's
last
been
week?
Around singing and all that. Last week we found out our overtime is finally kicking in. So I've been just dying. I mean, I'm working like 70.
Oh yeah, that's
hours
right. Because last week you sent us a message like last minute. It was like, yo, I can't. I'm not gonna be able to do it.
Yeah, sorry. I'm just this crazy because like with that last week was the biggest problem was my wife took the computer with her.
Oh.
That was the biggest problem. I mean, I was like, I had just enough time to get home, but then I forgot to tell her to leave the computer because my daughter had tech week all last week. So basically they run a whole week for 3 hours. They run the whole play.
Okay.
Like a dress rehearsal. And then she brought the computer forgetting that I had to do the podcast. And I was like, when are you going to get home? She wouldn't get home till like almost 10.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that was that. But so here's the crazy thing. So we're starting our busy season a little earlier because of the rest of the politics and stuff going on.
Okay.
We get all that political mail, and they're gonna be.
I'm so tired of that.
Crazy with all that.
I'm so tired.
I'm right there with you, man. Listen, last time it happened. I don't like to get super political, but last time it happened, my main guy that runs the whole post office, he's a Republican, and he was told by Trump to start taking machines out. So we were getting real busy, and
I remember that
taking machines out of the building, and we were like, okay, and so. We still got the mail out, but they had to work 12 hours, 7 days. Like everybody they were just pushing. Like there was no non-overtime that you could, if you wanted to work 14 hours, they were letting people.
Damn.
So that was crazy. So now, I mean, we got all our machines right now. And,
did you work 14 hours? Did you do it? Did you work 14 hours?
Nah, man, I could, you know what? I do 10 hours. If I'm really, like if I have a lot of work, I'll do 12 every once in a while. But for me, I'm good with 10. Now that I'm on the morning shift, what I can do is I can break up my time. I can go in early. I like that better than staying late. But the problem with that is what time I go to bed, because like I can go in at 2:00 in the morning and then leave at 2:30. That's a good 12-hour shift. But I mean, if I go to bed I'd have to go to bed at 8:00.
Yeah.
That's just not happening in my house.
Yeah. So. Okay. All right.
How about you, man? How you been?
I've been hanging in there, man. So number one, first thing, the kids were a little disappointed that you weren't there tonight. They were a little sad, except for one student. can you guess who that is? Okay.
I can guess. Oh, Lord.
Yeah. So she was like, yes, no bow tonight. But everybody else was like, they were looking at me like, so what we gonna do? So
I'll get back to it, Tom. I'll get back to it.
Yeah. I told him, but I told him don't hold their breath for December also, because that's still holiday season. Because you just never know, So I said, don't hold your breath. I'll let you know when Sensei Harley's coming back. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Other than that, man. 2 weeks ago, it was a chill weekend. I had told Melissa, I was like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to go nowhere. I just want to stay home because I've been constantly on the move and doing something, So I'm getting to the point now where like my body is like shutting down. Like you got to chill, you got to relax, just take some time off. But yet still, we still went out to play pool with my daughter and her girlfriend. We went and played pool with them. Met them at Snookers, and we had a good time. Yeah, we had a good time playing pool.
Snookers is still around. I ain't been there in a minute.
Yeah, Snookers is still around. Now I don't know how many are still left. I used to train the owner of Snookers, Ray Abrams, and he told me before he passed that he didn't think his son was going to keep Snookers around. He thought he was going to turn it into a bar, a normal bar, with a dance floor and everything. But
what do you say when you train them? What do you train them on?
Exercise.
Karate?
No.
Oh yeah, I forgot you're a trainer. I forgot.
I was a person. I was his personal trainer. I was his personal trainer and his wife's.
I thought you were teaching pool.
No, hell no.
I was like, Gina, pool shark over here. Wait a second.
No, not at all. But Ray used to talk to me a lot about business, man, because he not only did he own all of the Snookers in the area, but he also had I think 4 other bars. Mr. Joe's, if you know what Mr. Joe's is, that was one of his bars that he owned. Okay. Restaurants. McVee's, before they shut down, that was his. And then I think he had 2 other bars in Brighton. So, he used to tell me all the time how he got started and everything. And honestly, man, there's a lot like how I started jump kick martial arts, man. He told me that he rented out space in the back of a bowling alley. And that's where he set up a couple tables. And then I think he moved upstairs in the bowling alley and got a couple more tables. And then he brought in some partners, and they gave him money to expand until he got his own place. And then he bought out his partners. And, the rest is history.
How were you at shooting pool?
I'm not that good. I mean, I'm all right. I just do it to have fun. Like I'm not about to hustle anybody. I know that's what somebody who can shoot really says, but I really, I'm not that good. I'm not.
I'm right there with you, man. I'm not. Yeah. I had a buddy who was real good. He used to play on a team. I haven't talked to him in a minute, but I went out with him one time. He could run a table, no problem. That's crazy.
Yeah. I'm not that good, man. Maybe if I played more in college, because all the dorms at Ferris had pool tables, and I never played at Ferris. Not one time did I ever play. But maybe if I would have played there, and played outside of there, I probably would have got a little bit better. But I just have some fun, man. That's pretty much it. Yeah. And then 2 weeks ago, we just had our normal family Sunday. The kids were playing outside, and we went over to my parents' house, hung out over there. And then this weekend, taught the classes, came home, and that's it. I pretty much didn't do anything. Just sat home and watched TV. Besides working on the computer, getting the stuff for Jump Kick Athletics going. Updated that website. There's a lot of stuff on that website. Have you checked out the website yet?
No, I haven't checked out the website, but I was checking out all your Black Belt clothing line the other day. That looked pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So, you're just talking about the stuff that I posted on Instagram, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
No. So the website is done. It's up. I got a bunch of stuff on there. I got slides up there now. I got cell phone cases up there. I got fanny packs for those who want fanny packs.
The fanny packs are coming back. It's crazy to me, but they are.
I know. I put that up there. I also put a cover for your luggage also up there also. Now, originally when I was taking those trips to California and Kentucky and DC, in the airport, I was looking around at where the luggage, the thing, what you call it, when the luggage comes out.
The turnstile.
Yeah. So I was looking and I was waiting on mine, and I was seeing other people make mistakes and stuff. as far as grabbing the wrong suitcase. And I was thinking, like, man, I need to figure out how to make my own suitcase. That's what I was. That's what I was thinking when I was watching everybody make mistakes. And so I had the opportunity to make not a case, but a cover for your suitcase. Okay. So I got that on the website now. Especially martial artists that's always flying or going to tournaments or whatever. That would be a good idea, to get you something that help you. Now I got different sizes up there also, so that'd be good.
Yeah, we always do like a red ribbon or something like that, but sometimes they fall off or they just they get misplaced.
Yeah. So of course I got the sweatshirts, the shirts, the hats, everything. I'm gonna keep putting stuff up there every week just to keep people coming back. So yeah, so that's been pretty cool, man. Yeah.
Okay.
And then other than that, man, yesterday, we took the kids trick or treating. They got so much candy. Both Champ and DJ. They got so much candy. How long were you out?
So they did like a curfew. The first time I ever really seen a curfew like that. I mean, they usually do like 2 hours, or they have a cutoff time. But this was a start time and an end time. So it started at 6:30, ended at 7:30. I think we were still out like 7:45, but for the most part, it was almost 2 hours.
Yeah, we were out for about an hour and a half. One thing about Champ, every year, like Champ, he gets him some candy and then he's good. Like, we're walking around past an hour and a half. He's like, Daddy, let's go home. I'm tired. He's ready to go home. So, but he had more than enough candy. Him and DJ, they had more than enough candy. So they got a lot. Now, one thing I did learn from Melissa is that over in Canada, let me ask you this, Joe. When you were younger, when you went out trick-or-treating, what time did you go out when you were younger?
I mean, at the latest 7, but usually we just waited for it to get a little dust. So like 6:30, 7, something like that.
And so when you used to go out at 7, what time did you guys get done?
When I was younger, probably 8:30, 9 o'clock at that. Not even. When I got older, I mean, I used to just go out with a group of friends and we would just go out and take our time.
So she told me that over in Canada, they didn't start trick-or-treating until 8 o'clock.
Dang.
And then they go to midnight.
What?
And I'm like, I'm like, ain't no way. Ain't no way that's happening in Detroit. You're not you're not knocking on somebody's door at 11 or 11:30 looking for some candy. You're gonna get something else. There's no way that's happening. So it was her first time, trick-or-treating over here. So, she was a little surprised.
That's a long night, man.
Yeah, 8 to 12. Like, man. Shoot. That's a long
Nowadays,
time.
I'm in bed by then.
Yeah. Like we never, we didn't. My parents used to take us out, and we will be done at 8 o'clock. Like at 8 o'clock, everybody's lights are off in front of their house, so you're not doing it no more anyway. So all right, let's jump into the movie now. Now I cannot pull it up on my computer. I've been trying this whole time. Do you have it pulled up on yours?
Yeah.
Okay. Talking about Big Brother. First off, what did you think of this movie?
Well, didn't get into the karate till late into the movie. So I was even wondering, because I know Angel even said, like, is this a karate movie? And I'm like, I told him, keep watching, you'll get to the karate. But it was literally maybe, 4 scenes, 5 scenes, if that?
I don't even think it was that many. I think it was 2, honestly.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I only remember 2 scenes that had actual karate. It was different. It was a little they threw us a curve. Just because Donnie Yen was in it, you would think there was going to be more karate. I thought I knew when they were going to introduce the karate into the movie. It didn't happen. I thought this was going to be. Actually, this is what this movie was. This was a remix version of that capoeira movie that we watched. What was the name of that movie? Do you remember?
Only the Strong.
Only the Strong. Okay, so this was similar to this, except for there was no capoeira being taught to the students.
Yeah, you're right. I said the same exact thing. This was a very similar. As far as the movie goes, it was interesting. I really wonder how close they are to the way the schools are run in
Hong Kong.
In Hong Kong.
What made you say that? Why are you thinking that?
Just things were just a little, just very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The teachers were a little bit all over the place. Now, I doubt that most teachers are like him, where he got very involved.
Mm-hmm.
But I was curious, like, have you ever had a teacher show up at your house? Like,
no.
That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, this guy was going out of his way. I mean, they showed you at the end why he was doing all that.
They explained it, right.
And kind of the name, where the name Big Brother really came from.
Now see that. Now that part I didn't understand, because I know when they said it to him, but I didn't understand why they said it when they said it.
Well, in my opinion, he was acting as a big brother to all these kids. Like,
okay,
he understood where they came from, and he was trying to really understand where their bad behavior was coming from, which was an interesting twist, because like Only the Strong, it was mostly like gang stuff. Same thing with what was it, like Stand By Me or Dangerous Minds. This kind of reminded me, those just were pretty straightforward. It was just bad neighborhood, gangs, bad upbringing. But this one, you had individual stories, and he learned everybody's individual story, and then in turn we got to learn his story, and they made the whole thing come full circle. Very interesting way to do a movie. Kind of had me going for a minute. And his teaching style was very different. And every time he was called out on it, he was basically like, listen, man, we got to figure out something new, because what we're doing is not working.
You know what's interesting about this movie is he didn't get frustrated or mad at the kids.
No.
At some point in time, sometimes the teacher in the movie is yelling at the kids, or frustrated, or is about to give up on what they're trying to accomplish or what they're trying to do. And they have to be talked back into coming back and helping, the kids or whatever. That wasn't the case.
You know what?
In this movie.
If only we had a teacher here for the teacher's perspective.
Well, if Angel gets on, we'll ask him.
I know. You know what though?
I mean, did he text you? Did he call you?
No.
Okay, so you don't know why he's not here?
No.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he called me. I'm just gonna say it on the show. I'm gonna say it on the show.
Oh, you're gonna say it? I know. I need to know.
Yes. He is constipated right now, and he's no. I'm just messing with you.
I was gonna say, Gene, if you have a shoe, you are wrong for that one. But,
no, he's not constipated. No, he doesn't have any issues. Please do not send Angel Diaz any Pepto-Bismol. Do not send him cases of Pepto-Bismol. Do not go by his dojo. Don't go by his dojo and drop off cases of Pepto-Bismol. If his students are listening, please do not show up in the morning.
He don't let his students listen, but his mom listens. I found that out.
Yeah. He talked to me about that. No. So he had a visitor show up at his dojo. A visitor that we reviewed one of his movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Michael Jai White was at the school. Yeah, so I told him to try and get him on the podcast.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, I asked Travis, did we kill any of his movies? Like, I know we watched them, but did we kill him? We talked about the movies. Okay, good. Then he'll listen. He'll listen and be okay with us then. Okay.
I mean, the only two I could think of that we did was Blood and Bone and Exit Wounds.
Yeah. And we didn't. I don't think we killed him.
Exit Wounds was funny because we had my brother on, and wasn't that the one where Mike just suddenly flew off the video? Talking about Van Damme or something at the beginning.
Yeah, I can't remember. I have no idea.
Pretty positive that was that one. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, speaking of Mike, it is a good thing he's not doing this show. I don't think Mike would have watched this movie.
No,
And,
because
and even if he
I
did
tried to
watch
find
it,
a version without subtitles, and the whole thing was subtitles. So
yeah, I kind of figured that since it was on Amazon Prime, that's how I watched it, and
yeah.
there was you had no choice but but to read the
You know what's
movie.
crazy? This was on Netflix, but by the time we watched it, it was gone from Netflix.
That's what I thought you said because I went to Netflix to look
It
for it,
drove
and
me
I couldn't.
crazy. I couldn't find it. I found
Okay.
it when Drew originally said something about it, and then I couldn't find it anymore, and I was driving me nuts. Um, so the thing that I had a problem with this in this movie, I don't mind subtitles, but why were they having subtitles and speaking Japanese, but then they speak English like every once in a while?
Well, I think the only person that was speaking Japanese, I mean, China. I don't know if it's Mandarin or what language. I have no idea. I have no idea if it was Chinese or Mandarin or whatever. I don't know. But it was him. It was the teacher. Was his name Mr. Chen? I believe that was his name.
Yeah.
I think he was the only one that would occasionally speak English. And that was because he was sent to America, so we knew that he knew some English. But I don't think the kids spoke any English at any time, or any of the other teachers or principals.
It just kept throwing me off every once in a while.
It threw me off too, because you're looking at the bottom of your screen reading, and then he'll say something in English and it's not there. It's not there. It's not written there. So then you have to look up, and then you say, did I just hear him speaking English? Did he just say something? You know.
Yes. So this starts off with the interview with Mr. Chan, who was played by Donnie Yen, and they're basically saying like he's got a really good resume, but he has no experience. And then he gives them a piece of paper with all these recommendations, and I don't know, that didn't really make sense to me. Like they go more off of recommendations than work experience.
I guess. I mean, I guess you got to start somewhere. I don't even know. Like, if you wanted to be a teacher, like, do you have to be a teacher aide first? I don't think so. Do you have to be a substitute first? I don't think so. So who knows?
So here's the thing: you can substitute teacher with just a college degree. It doesn't have to be in teaching.
Right.
I found this out recently. Now, to get an actual teaching job, you have to student teach, they call it, for like a certain amount of time, but it's class credit. So you don't get paid for it, but you can also substitute during that time too. Because this is what my wife did. Now, as a teacher, you have to get a actual teaching degree, or like my wife, she got an art teacher's degree. So she has an associate's in interior design, which is where she started, and then she switched over to teaching to be an art teacher, and she's got her bachelor's in as an art teacher, so she can teach kindergarten all the way to high school, I believe even college at a certain point, with that teaching degree.
You know, when I went to college, man, my main focus was being in the music industry and television production, movie production. So I took a lot of those type of classes. What I really should have did was I probably should have did something toward teaching, but I mean, I wouldn't have been a normal teacher like history or English or math. That wasn't going to happen. I either would have been a teacher, a gym teacher, or an art teacher. I should have did that. And I'm gonna tell you why, man. Because if I would have did that, I could have had my summers and not have to work. You know, still.
I'm telling you, man. Like my dad told me growing up, he always tried to push me like you should be a teacher for that reason. Like you should be a teacher, and I do. Like people say, like teachers don't make that much, which I mean, I get it. Like they do a lot, and they really don't get paid what they're worth.
They should be six figures.
It's not.
I ain't gonna lie. Teachers should be six figures.
But after if you make tenured as a teacher, you're pretty much set. You're doing pretty good.
Okay.
You know, for what you teach, for how much you actually teach and everything. Now, granted, there's a lot that goes into it, and there's a lot of grief that comes with it sometimes. But like my wife and I talk about it, some of her people that are ready to retire right now, like they're doing all right.
Good. That's good.
So, yeah.
So
it's just you got to get to that point.
Angel really should have been on here for this episode.
Right?
So I actually thought about this about 10 years ago. I thought I should have been either an art teacher or a gym teacher, had the summers off, and you're still you're done with work at 3:00.
Yes.
So then I could have still been teaching my karate classes and running my program or running my dojo. You know what I'm saying? So man, but now funny thing is I have a friend of mine a couple of years ago, she reached out to me and she wanted me to be a teacher. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. She's like, why not? She's like, you good with kids. You could be a teacher, you could just get this teacher certification. I said, look, yes, I understand we need more black male teachers, but at the same time, like I'm at the mindset now, like I'm not trying to break up no fights. I'm not.
No, I'm right there with you.
Anytime there's an altercation, you're gonna come get me. I'm not doing that. The way these kids talk now, I don't know, man. I don't know. I praise teachers and people like Angel that can do it. I don't know if I have the discipline myself.
Gene, the stories my wife will come home with, and she's teaching elementary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the best she has is a 5th grader. Now she's getting it. She's got little 4th graders, 3rd graders with little attitudes, and she's very good at handling it. But man, I could tell. Like I'm like, oh, that little kid coming in and talk to me like that, I'd be like, little boy, go to the office because I can't deal with you right now.
Like I told you guys before, man. Like my uncle had hooked me up with teaching at a charter school in Detroit. And they didn't have a gym, so martial arts was their physical education, and I gave them grades and everything, so it was cool, and the pay was really really good for what I did was just teaching karate,
especially for a charter school. Yeah,
exactly. The pay was excellent, but I only worked 1 day a week with them. It was only on Thursdays. I would go there and do K through 8th grade. K through 4th was perfect. No issues, no problems. Those kids listen, no issues, nothing. 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, those kids, oh my God. And it was crazy. All they had to do was show up and you was getting an A or B. That's all you had to do was just participate. There was a bunch of kids I gave D's and F's to in martial arts. And out of the years I was there doing that, I only talked to one parent. That was it. And she called me wanting to know why her kid got a D in karate. And I said, I'm sorry, man, but I don't even know who your kid is. Yeah. When she told me the name of her child, I said, I don't even know who they are. So I said, so since I don't know who your kid is, that lets me know that they're not coming to class. And we talked. And then from that point on, she made sure that her daughter came to karate. And then her daughter got an A or B, But all you had to do was just show up.
That's good, though.
Go ahead, man.
That's good. Like we said, this movie, he comes in for his first day. The class is exactly how you would expect it to be.
Well,
they're disruptive.
He purposely asked for these students also.
Yeah, 100%.
He wanted the bad class.
Yep. Which is crazy because nobody really wants that class.
Didn't the principal ask him, like, why do you want that? Why do you want this class? And he didn't answer him. He just walked away. We didn't find out till the end of the movie.
Yeah, he just likes doing that kind of stuff from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And he handles these kids pretty well. He's trying to get everyone to settle down. He's doing his best. You got kids sleeping. You got kids not paying attention. You got a kid who's making people breakfast. What is that?
Yeah, ramen noodles. Somebody was making ramen noodles.
I said, wait a second. I don't think that doesn't look normal. And he just looked past it all. And he was just like, all right, let's get it together. And you're thinking, oh, okay, it's going to be one of those movies. He's got to get. But I'm like, is he going to start doing karate on these kids to get them to pay attention? Like, that's not going to happen. There's just no way. But what he does do is he shoots a little paper arrow, whatever you want to call it, and hits the fire that lets the water out for a fire, and he douses everybody, and that gets everybody's attention. And he just kind of lets that happen and kind of ends the class that way.
Man, I'm gonna tell you right now, if that happened in a Detroit public school, he would have been fighting after school because some you're not about to wet no kids' hair and outfits and have the kids sitting in wet clothes and messed up hair. Oh no. Yeah, you're gonna deal with some mamas, some aunties, some grandmamas, some dads, some boyfriends. You're gonna deal with all of that. He would if that happened in the Detroit school, it would have been on. Go ahead, man.
Listen, I can't. There's so many names in this because there's literally like 14 students that they kind of focus on. So I'm just gonna say.
They did, but there were like 5 or 6 that they really, really zeroed in on.
Well, do everybody you remember the names? Because I don't remember.
I definitely don't remember their names. I definitely don't. Because you don't know their names until they speak, and then that's when the subtitle will come up and saying that this is Alan. Other than that, you never really heard the names of the students. Or I mean, then again, we wouldn't be able to know it anyway because they were speaking Chinese, so we wouldn't know this. So I didn't memorize the names of the students with their voice.
I do know that 2 of the main students. I believe they're friends or brothers and stuff like that.
They're brothers,
They're smoking outside, and one of the quote unquote jocks, is giving them trouble. And he's a basketball player, so he's watching the basketball practice, and he rolls a pop bottle or whatever out to the basketball court, causes the guy to slip and fall, and they end up getting into a fight, and then a bunch of people are fighting in the school, and Donnie Yen's breaking up all these fights, and the administration's trying to figure it out. Meanwhile, he's talking. The principal is talking to. I'm assuming it's someone from the board who handles the money for the school, and he's basically telling them that if they don't get, so apparently they not only worry about people passing classes, like getting good grades. You measure a school this size by also who's getting into a good college. So that was, I don't think that happens over here. I think they just worry about the school. They could care less, like the prestige of college you're going. I don't know if they follow that or not. I think that was different to me.
I think it might depend on the school that you're at, that you're going to.
Yeah. Was this like a private school then, maybe?
I definitely have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But whatever, I just know that they were talking, and basically the idea was you have to get more people with better grades, better test scores, like the LSAT or whatever they call it over there.
Well, I think,
and they have to get into more, like they have to all get into a more prestigious college.
But and also the grades have to improve because they needed more money for funding also.
Yeah.
And they were going to lose money if the grades didn't improve.
So they were talking about that, and so that's worrying him. And I'm sure in his mind he's thinking like, yeah, good luck with that, because that trouble class alone is bringing down the GPA. I'm sure.
Right.
I mean, none of them really look like they were interested or focused on school, but
they all had something they wanted to do, though.
Yes, they all had hopes and dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And slowly you see Mr. Chan, he finds some school records for all his students, and he's learning about all of them. And kind of there's a section in their record that basically says like what their hopes and dreams are for life. And this kind of, we start seeing backstory.
Right.
For all these kids, and a dialogue of what everybody wants. And I mean, we got everything from we got a girl who likes cars, who's she's wanting her father's love, but he loves his son more than his daughter. He kind of wishes
Well,
his daughter was a son.
well, that's what we heard from her point of view. We don't know
Yes.
if that was 100% true or not. It didn't
Well, I
seem like
mean,
it
that's the
later
way she
on.
was feeling.
Right, exactly.
Well, but that's where Mr. Chen, or AKA Donnie Yen, kind of brought that out.
Mhm.
He set something up to help them bond and realize, that they do love each other. It's just something he's never said out loud
Right,
very often, if ever.
right.
Which was it was pretty extreme. We have um, two brothers with an alcoholic father who
Mhm.
lost their mother. We have I'm trying to remember some of the other.
The other kid that was playing like the little guitar.
Oh yeah, a musician
Mhm.
who do they really explain why he's self-conscious about his music?
If they did, I missed it. I don't know.
Yeah. I think for whatever reason he wasn't very confident in himself.
Mhm.
Um one of the kids with the is it the one with the alcoholic father who has a job working at the restaurant? Or is that another
Uh,
kid?
I think that's another kid. I think that's the main kid. I think that's the basketball kid. I think
Yeah. So he
because we
he
didn't
has
see
to
much.
work.
We didn't see
Oh yeah,
much.
yeah. Yeah, he's the basketball player because he lives with his grandma by himself.
Right.
And he's taking care of his grandma. So he's trying to go to school, but he's also trying to work.
Mhm.
And at his job, he runs into this quote unquote kind of gang member
Mhm.
who is talking about business at the restaurant with a group, and he's working someone over for money and stuff, and he, being slick, takes the guy's lighter,
Mhm.
not realizing how important he is, and he takes a beating for it.
Right.
But then he also gets a job out of it from this guy, which I don't know why he would have took this job.
See
You're not
all of
gonna
this.
you're not gonna beat me and then give me a job.
Right. See, all of this is reasons why I was thinking, like, okay, now this is why they start learning martial arts, and it never
Yeah,
happened.
I know.
All of this, when they went through all of these kids' background, is when I thought, okay, now this is the part where they start learning karate, and it doesn't happen. It never. These kids never learn martial arts at all. And we get glimpses of Donnie Yen's character knowing martial arts because they tried to have what was that a bowl of water or something fall on his head, and when he walks in the classroom and he hits it real quick and it goes flying across the room. So then so when that happened, I said, okay, so he is a martial artist, so it's coming at some point, but
Yeah,
we never get there.
they never even
I'm
really
not knocking
said.
it. It didn't mess up the movie for me.
No,
I just was
it was interesting.
anticipating. Right.
Um, there's so much going on in this movie, and it was a little all over the place. And
Hmm.
it really, the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, man, like, how are they ever gonna bring this like together? And
I was there. Yeah.
they did
Yeah.
figure it out. I mean, it's really crazy. Uh, Literally, I could see some people watch this movie and go, "What the hell is going on?" But if you stick with it, it really does come full circle, and it's very interesting.
And it kind of happened earlier than expected, as far as the kids are realizing, um, that they can have whatever they want. They can repair the relationship with their parents.
Yeah,
They can get money, whatever these kids' issues were. It happened earlier in the movie, so I was like,
yeah,
okay, like so. There's more to it. Like when the girl went go-kart racing with her dad, and when they did that scene, so her part was finished as far as her storyline. Like she was
yeah.
happy, her dad did love her, but that happened so early in the movie. I said, okay, so what else is there to this movie? Like I said, it just kept me on the edge of my seat, wondering when they were going to start learning some kung fu or something, karate, whatever.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It just doesn't come.
The other thing that got me in this, so it took him. He's been in this class now for 2 days, and these kids he hasn't really done anything as far as teaching yet. But on the third day, he comes up with this thing where the kids are basically like, "Listen, man, we don't know what you're doing here, blah blah blah." And he says, "Okay." He's like, "This is what we're gonna do. You answer 3 questions, you can go home."
Mm-hmm.
And it starts with a kid who's smoking. So he takes the cigarette and the pack of cigarettes from the kid, and he starts asking him questions about cigarettes. And the one kid answers the question, he answers it right, says, "Go home." And he's looking at him like, "You're crazy. Like, seriously?" Guy goes, "Yeah, go ahead, go home." Second kid answers the second question, he tells him, "Go home." But he doesn't go home.
Mm-hmm.
Because now they're interested in like what's going on here.
Right.
And this is the first time, although the subject matter isn't great, he's teaching these kids and they're paying attention and they're actually learning.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all focused on the teacher. So, I mean, even though his methods were unorthodox, I think if someone was watching him from afar going, "What? Like, how did you do that?" And from that point on, just with that and him showing an interest in these kids and their families and trying to help them, with their dreams and their problems, they really kind of realize, okay, we can trust this guy. He can teach us stuff. Maybe we should take him more seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really interesting and very smart the way he did that, because he just, like you said, he never got mad at these kids. He never fell into their bull crap. He just kept running his race until he wore them down a little bit.
It's almost like the writers of this movie said, "Okay, we know what the normal tropes are when it comes to writing movies, and we're going to go the opposite of what you think is supposed to happen." Because another thing, like we see him start having an interest in a woman in the movie, right?
Yeah.
But they never date. Nope. We just see a little flirting. That's it. And it's real brief. So at some point in time, you think, okay, this is a normal movie. They're going to go out to dinner. They're going to start dating. Next thing you know, they're going to like each other. And this woman's probably going to get kidnapped. That's how movies happen. That's what normally happens in movies.
No, they really got away from a lot of the cliche stuff. Like
they did. Yeah, they did. But they teased it. They teased it like, okay, this is what normally happens. We're
honestly,
just not going to go there.
It was pretty smart writing.
Yeah.
Another part that I really did like, he went to the one kid's house, and this kid was always fighting. This is the kid, like I said, that stole the lighter, and now he's working for this gangster who we do find out he runs like a boxing MMA gym or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's trying to set up a fight. And Mr. Chan, he goes to the kid's house and talks to the grandmother. And I think he's originally there to kind of find out what's going on with the kid and everything. And the grandma says how good of a student he is and how good of a kid he is. And he could really, skew the opinion this grandma has of this child. But instead, he says, no, he is a great kid. He does a great job. He's a great student. I just came here to tell you that, and made her feel real good. Well, we also discover that this gangster, as he hired this kid, he wants this kid to dose an MMA fighter, because the MMA fighter is refusing to lose a fight.
Right.
And I don't know how, but Donnie Yen's character, Mr. Chen, he discovers the stuff that they gave him, and suddenly shows up at the fight where they're already, hurting his student.
Yeah.
Because the student kind of got busted getting ready to douse the stuff, even though that's what he was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the whole thing was insane.
The MMA fighter didn't know that was supposed to happen. That was about to happen to him, though.
No, of course.
Yeah.
And so this poor,
it was his people who found out, who saw what was going on.
Yeah. So this was starting a lot of stuff, and luckily, the teacher showed up, and this is finally where we get some karate. Now, I do have to say, this whole thing was a little over the top, but it was fun.
The fighting?
Yeah, I mean, come on. This big old MMA fighter is gonna just get beat up by a little teacher. This is not gonna happen.
Well, but that's just it. He wasn't a normal teacher.
I agree. Don't get me wrong.
No, I don't mean just by him. I mean, because he did have martial arts background, but he just wasn't a martial artist like you or I. He was in the military,
Yeah.
I believe. I think it was the Army, right? He was in the Army or the Marines, one of them. He was in the Army. So, and we get a flashback of what he went through in the Army, you know. So, if you're a military person and a martial artist, then yeah, I think you could take an MMA guy. Especially,
you're probably right. You're probably right, though.
Especially, hold on, I'm about to take a break at the movie for a second. Especially after we see, was that Logan Paul or Jake Paul beat Anderson Silva? An amateur boxer beats an MMA fighter.
Okay, but it was just boxing. It was just boxing. Let there be an MMA fight. Anderson's gonna win that 9.
I 100% agree. But at the same time, and I really wish MMA fighters would stop fighting this guy. Make this guy fight a real boxer. And I don't care. I don't even care if it's somebody that has 10 fights or 15 fights. A relatively new boxer. He needs to fight a real boxer.
But he's the only boxers he looks to fight are MMA fighters or boxers who are out of their prime. I mean, who's he gonna take on next? Manny Pacquiao?
All right, now we can get back to it. I just had to throw that part in there because that guy was the MMA fighter, but Mr. Chen did have some.
But people are paying to see him get knocked out. And it's never going to happen.
I don't know. I think he has a lot of fans, man, and I think they're watching to see him win. Also,
I mean, the only time I'm gonna ever, I never.
He has a lot of followers. This
I know
the Paul brothers. They have a lot of followers.
Because people want to figure out how they can make millions of dollars just being assholes on YouTube and fighting washed up fighters.
Yeah, well,
It's a genius idea. Don't get me wrong. I'm not blaming them for it.
But see, that's one of my see that kind of goes back to some of my issues with MMA. Like I don't think everybody should just get into it just to learn MMA. Like I like when people had specialties in a particular art form. Like, okay, if boxing is your background, that's your go-to. You're a striker. I don't think fighters are like that anymore. I think they just get into it and they might get a black belt in jiu-jitsu maybe or a purple belt, but I don't think they have serious backgrounds in one particular sport like they used to. So now he's gonna be fighting people who don't really have any boxing experience or very little boxing experience. So. No, I really wish MMA fighters would just stop fighting these guys.
I'm right there with you. So during this fight, towards the end of it, he goes back into his childhood and then his time in the while traveling in the Army and then even out of the Army and kind of how he got to where he is right now. Uh-huh. And during his childhood, he shows at that same school, he was a problem child.
Yep.
He was breaking stuff. He was getting in fights. He started stuff. The one memory they went back to, there's a kid playing the piano. He throws a couple of balloons at the kid. The kid goes to fight him. He beats the crap out of the kid, knocks over a statue, all this stuff. And I mean, he's just troubled. And then we find out.
Well, that's important. The statue landed on the kid's hand that he was fighting.
Yep.
And it messed his hand up.
Yeah, so he can't play the piano anymore.
Mm-hmm.
At least for the time being. And then they show his family life where his father was an alcoholic, his mom left, And so now we're starting to kind of see why he understands these children. He kind of went that same path, and he did come out on the other side. He's obviously, he's not that same punk kid anymore. And so now we're seeing like he wants to help these kids get to his level and show people like, nobody's a lost cause. And after the video of him fighting at the MMA, these kids, they're on board, man. They're calling him big brother. They're showing up to class. You see them, they're raising their hand. They're answering questions correctly. The other teachers are noticing. They're kind of taking a page out of his book and trying to, get the same results. And he's making a difference. And now the idea is that they're all going to take this test, and they're all going to get into a good college. And there's a problem because we find out that this gangster, that he wants the school. He wants the land in the school. He wants that real estate for his own businesses. And so he wants the school to shut down. He doesn't want these kids to pass this class. So just like Only the Strong, he shows up at the school and takes these kids hostage, basically.
Yeah, he
and
did.
Mr. Chan was he fired at this point?
Yeah, so he got fired because of the fight.
Yeah. So he got fired and he doesn't know what's going on. So when he does find out what's going on, he comes back and he challenges this guy. And at this point, we find out full circle, this was the kid whose hand got crushed, who was playing the piano. And so, and where he changed his life, he also changed the course of this child's life because the piano, and they did mention that he was
a martial artist.
Yeah, they were both martial artists, and he was number 2 to Chan being number 1. Yep. So he lost to him there, and then he lost his ability to play the piano. So he kind of basically, it turned his life, obviously, to a life of crime because he couldn't do his 2 things that he was passionate about. And so during the fight, these 2 are fighting each other. He tells them, "Do you know who I am?" And when he figures out who he is, he's like, "Oh no." Like, he basically says, like, "I've always meant to apologize. I've always meant to try and find you and talk to you. And I didn't know where you were. I couldn't find you." And he pulls out a knife and he goes to attack him, and he takes the knife away from him. And I don't understand if this was like his way of punishing himself. Mr. Chan takes the knife and stabs himself in the leg.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the only thing I can come up with, that was his way of like saying, "Hey, I'm sorry I messed up your hand. Like, this is the best I can do for you."
Yeah, I guess.
It was weird. And I mean, they messed up the school, but he gets the kids out to their tests, and they just make their test on time. This guy who he messed up his hand, he just starts playing a piano.
That's all he wanted. It seemed like that's all he wanted was him to apologize to him.
And all the kids, they pass their tests, and I mean, they kind of make us think that they're all gonna try and do their best to fulfill their dreams, and then at the very end, they get double the funding. They get not only the funding they wanted, but they get to double the funding. And Mr. Chan comes back with the nose from the statue. He puts it back on, goes back to teaching the class, and that's kind of how they.
But I think it was a new group of kids.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, they're just showing the school, and he's going to have another happy year with the troubled youth and do his best to change that.
Right. All right, so that's the end of Big Brother. What you think? Like, what grade would you give this movie? Now, I got something to say about this part too.
So I did think about my grade a couple times, and I'm telling you, I could go lower, and I can go higher, and I settled on a B- because Like I said, as far as a martial arts movie, it was a little up and down. It was a good movie, but some of the subtitles and the English was throwing me off. And like I said, the story was a little everywhere, but I did enjoy the movie. So I think I could go a B minus, B plus, no problem.
That's where I'm at too. B minus with this movie. Because if you watch this movie expecting to watch a karate movie and you don't see that much karate, you're going to be upset. You're not going to like this movie. Yes. That's number one. Number two, if you're like Mike and you don't like subtitles and you turn this on and you see subtitles, you're not going to like this movie. But if you can get past those two things and actually pay attention to the story that they're trying to tell, it's a nice story, you know.
It was a very nice story. It was a decent movie. Different role for Donnie Yen than I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Now this is I got an issue. Every now and then, you know, someone would see one of our posts that Trav puts out, either the video of us talking or just that the podcast is out, you know, so he'll have the picture of the movie and, you know, saying, you know, that the podcast is available for download. Now, every now and then somebody will jump into the comments and ask us if this movie is worth watching. And that is the purpose of this podcast. We're telling you, I always want to say, download the podcast and listen to it. Then you'll know.
Well, just say that.
I don't want to be an asshole.
I don't think that makes you an asshole. It said, you know, it would be a good idea.
Get in my head. I'm an asshole.
Well, don't say it like that. Just say, hey, you know, a good idea would be to download the podcast and listen.
You know, if I asked that, if I put that and somebody said that to me, I'll probably be thinking like, this dickhead. I just asked. All you have to do is say yes or no. I put myself in that other person's shoes, so I know I would be offended if I did that. And somebody says, "Listen to your pocket, man." You just trying to get some more.
But the way you did answer it though was pretty good.
Yeah,
because you basically said, well, we didn't care for it too much, but you know, these things are subjective.
Yeah, man.
And you know, go ahead and watch it for yourself.
Yeah, man. That's one thing that I learned about just a lot of different stuff that people got to stop being offended by. Like if somebody else like this and you don't, then don't get mad that they like it. You know what I'm saying? Like, entertainment is subjective. Movies, music is subjective. Clothing is subjective. You know.
But listen, man, I've watched many movies that a quote unquote critic said was the greatest movie ever, and I hated it.
A lot of that stuff
watch a movie that they said was terrible, and I loved it.
A lot of that stuff.
It's very subjective.
A lot of that stuff that wins Grammys. I mean, not Grammys, Oscars. That stuff looks so depressing. You know what I'm saying? But they win Oscars. I'm like, this looks so boring and depressing.
Man, there was a stretch where my wife would watch like some of these award shows and be like, "Oh, this movie won this and that. We should watch it." She did this to me like 3 times in a row, and they were all 3 were terrible. And I finally told her, "You can't pick movies anymore," because I'm gonna lose my mind.
Yeah, I feel you on that. One last thing, I gotta show you this before we get out of here, man. Check this out. This is Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
Miss Marvel #1. My cousin knows the writer of this comic book, and he had her autograph it, and he sent it to me. So that was pretty cool, man. My cousin in New York, David, he doesn't know much about comics or anything like that. So she was trying to school him, and when I saw him a couple months ago in DC, I was trying to school him. He didn't know the difference between DC or Marvel. So I definitely had to school him on that, you know. But my cousin David, he's the type of person that always knows somebody. He's going to meet somebody all the time, man. One time, matter of fact, we was down in Florida for my cousin's wedding, and after the wedding, we were in West Palm Beach, and me and my cousin Chris Drew, we were waiting to go back to Drew's house, but we had to wait for somebody to come back and pick us up. So we're standing there with David talking, chilling. And then when our ride comes back, Drew's dad came to pick us up. We're like, come on, get in the car with us. He's like, no, I'm just going to hang out here. So me and Drew say, okay, cool. We're going to go back. We're going to go back to the house. Chill. We go home about midnight. David sends me a text message like, yo, y'all should have stayed. Look who I'm with. He was with the Miami Heat cheerleaders.
Oh.
It was a picture of him in them. I said,
nice.
Damn. He had the biggest smile ear to ear. That grin was huge.
I bet.
All right, man. So that's it for this week. That's it, big brother. What we watching next, man?
I think we talked about 47 Rowan.
47 Rom?
Rowan.
Ronan.
Yeah.
Okay,
yep.
47 Ronan. Okay, we can do it. You know what it's on? What platform?
It should be on HBO Max, I think.
Okay. This is Keanu Reeves movie.
Yep.
Okay. Now,
we're going to do a couple of samurai movies and end it with The Last Samurai, which I've been waiting to do that. That's one of my favorite movies. So.
Okay. All right. I ain't seen any of these movies, so this is going to be all new ground for me.
You've never seen The Last Samurai?
Nope.
Oh, you're in for That's a good movie, man. That's I don't know if that one won any awards or not, but that's a good movie.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, cool. And this one's decent. This one's pretty good. It's interesting. It's got like a little supernatural in it, but it's an interesting storyline.
Okay. All right, you got any closing remarks?
No, man, I'm good. Check out the Patreon as always, you know.
And we really got to get on our show for the Patreon too. Don't worry, Fitz Kicks and Flicks is gonna be on there. We got a couple things we've been kicking around, so we're gonna get on there. All right, everybody, make sure you go to the website Jump Kick Athletics. See if there's anything on there that you want. Get it, especially for the holidays. You're gonna give it to somebody, gift for someone. Other than that, I think that's it for this week. Everybody, stay safe, stay strong. Angel did not make it. Man, we're gonna have to holler at him. We'll holler at you guys next week. The director is back, so play our music. Oh, that's some bullshit. Turn that bullshit off. Turn this bullshit off. This is not our music.
Disaster must come. At best, only postponed. Shaolin Kung Fu, to survive, must now be taught to more young men.